A little girl found a cell phone and the wallpaper was a picture of herself.
Hello everyone, enjoy these relaxing moments while you watch.
Eliza pulled the torn cloth tighter around her shoulders. Each raindrop slammed into the ground like a hammer, striking her tangled hair and her bare, purple feet. She was only 10 years old, but her eyes looked far older, dull, emotionless, and full of exhaustion. She was rummaging through a pile of rotting branches, searching for dry firewood, though she knew it was nearly impossible. Her stomach ached from hunger, her mouth bone dry. She hadn't eaten since yesterday, except for half a rotten orange peel she found near the old dump. Hang in there. Eliza, you're still alive, that's all that matters, she whispered to herself, as if trying to stay sane. Behind Silverwood, there was a small forest that used to be a picnic spot for families. But ever since children began disappearing without a trace, rumors spread that the forest was cursed. Eliza didn't care about rumors. To her, the most dangerous place was anywhere with too many people. Suddenly, a faint sound echoed. Click. Eliza jumped. She pushed aside the damp leaves on the ground and saw a glint of metal. It was an old mobile phone, the kind with buttons scratched up and yellowed with age. Her hand trembled as she picked it up. No passcode. The screen lit up. The battery was at half. Eliza gasped. A thought flashed through her mind: call someone. The police? A kind soul. But what froze her in place was the phone's wallpaper. It wasn't a landscape. It wasn't some random photo. It was her Eliza standing in a place she had never been. A red dirt path, tall trees lining both sides, pale lighting, and Eliza in the photo was wearing a floral dress she had thrown away 2 weeks ago because it was too torn to wear. That photo, it couldn't exist unless someone had been watching her. No, this can't be. Eliza staggered backward, the phone nearly slipping from her hand. An elderly voice sounded from behind her. You there? What are you doing? Eliza spun around. It was Mrs. Roberts, an old woman who used to sell vegetables in the village, living near the forest's edge. Her damp scarf and narrowed eyes, squinting against the rain, made her face look even more severe. I'm just gathering firewood, Eliza stammered. You're that runaway orphan, aren't you? I've heard the rumors. You kids are a curse. Mrs. Roberts shouted, walking closer. Do you know how many people have disappeared? And you show up right in the middle of it. Eliza backed away, her foot slipping in the mud. It's not me. I didn't hurt anyone. I'm cold and hungry, she pleaded. Get off this land. Before I call the police, the old woman hissed, then turned and walked away. Eliza stood there, frozen. The cold now came not just from the rain but from inside her heart. She looked back at the phone, still glowing. The network display read, "No signal." She pressed the menu button. No texts, no contacts. Just one album in the gallery. Eliza tapped it. One single folder, Eliza. She didn't want to open it. But her hands moved on their own. The first photo, her sleeping, curled up on the roof of the abandoned house she had stayed in a few weeks earlier. The second, Eliza crying beside a dumpster near the Central Market. The third, her undressing to bathe, behind her a mossy wall and a small stream. No, who took these? She scrolled faster, her heartbeat pounding. Next photo, her standing at the gate of St. Teresa home when she was just 7. 3 years ago, Eliza whispered. He's been watching me since then. Her hunger disappeared completely, replaced by a hazy wave of panic. She threw the phone away and covered her face, sobbing. But she didn't dare make a sound, just trembled in the thick darkness. Eliza sat still in the rain, clothes soaked and clinging to her skin, her hands blue and limp at her sides. Her eyes stared blankly into space, as if her soul had left her body. It wasn't until a creaking bike bell rang in the distance that she jolted, turning her head. A skinny boy, about 12, wearing a gray knit cap, was pedaling an old bike down the dirt road nearby. He stopped, looked at her for a long moment, and called out. "Hey! What are you doing sitting there in the rain?" Eliza hesitated. She didn't know if she should respond or run. But the boy's expression wasn't like the adult's. It didn't show disgust, only curiosity. I said, "What are you doing? Don't you know you could die of pneumonia?" "I don't have anywhere to go," Eliza mumbled, barely audible. "Ah," the boy nodded, then propped his bike on the side of the path and walked over. "My name's Michael. I live at the end of the village." "I'm Eliza." Michael crouched beside her and pulled out a cold piece of bread wrapped in newspaper from his pocket. "Want some?" Eliza hesitated, then nodded. Her hands trembled as she accepted it. "Thanks. I've seen you before. Sitting under that awning near the market. My mom says you're some feral orphan. But I don't care." Eliza chewed slowly. The bread was dry and hard, but to her, it tasted like the finest food in the world. "Michael, do you have a phone?" "No. My mom won't let me. I broke hers once." "Why do you ask?" Eliza didn't answer right away. She pointed to the bushes, where the old phone still lay glowing dimly. Michael frowned. "You found that?" "Yeah. Under a pile of dead leaves. No password. But inside." She hesitated, then looked at Michael with pleading eyes. Can you look at it for me? It's full of pictures. Of me." Michael stared at her for a moment, then got up and retrieved the phone. He wiped the screen with his damp sleeve, opened the photo gallery, and scrolled through a few images. He fell silent. "Holy crap," he muttered. This can't be random." Eliza nodded. Her voice cracked. "There's a photo of me sleeping. And one of me, bathing." Michael turned away, his face flushing red from shame and anger. "Someone's stalking you. Not just recently. There are pictures from 3 years ago, when I was still at St. Teresa." Michael looked at Eliza. His curiosity had turned to fear. "You think he's still around here?" Eliza didn't answer. She simply pointed to a nearby tree. On a high branch was a small metal object, glinting in the rain. Michael squinted. Is that a camera?" "I don't know. But since I came to this forest, I've always felt like someone's watching me." Michael was silent for a long time. Then he stood up. "Listen. There's an abandoned house deeper in the woods. They call it the Devil's House. Grown-ups say it's haunted. But I've been inside. There's nothing but cobwebs." "You mean you can't sleep out here in the woods?" "I'll take you there. Just for tonight. Tomorrow, I'll bring more food." Eliza looked at the strange boy, the first person who hadn't driven her away, who didn't look at her like trash. She nodded. "Okay." The two children walked through the rain, mud clinging to their heels, the wind slicing through the air in icy gusts. By the time they reached the abandoned wooden house, night had fallen. Michael pointed. "I've cleared out some webs before. But don't expect any blankets or pillows." Eliza nodded and stepped inside. The air was musty, damp, as if no living soul had entered in years. Michael pulled out a small candle and a lighter. "Here, I left a few things here last time. They should still work." The flickering candlelight cast pale shadows on their faces. Eliza sat on the floor, clutching the phone tightly. Michael sighed. "I'll come back tomorrow. I can't stay tonight. My mom would kill me." "Okay, thank you, Michael. Be careful, Eliza." Michael left. The wooden door creaked shut behind him. Eliza sat alone. She looked around the room, moldy walls, rotten wooden floorboards. Wind whistled through the cracked window, sounding like someone breathing heavily. Then, she looked under the bed. Something drew her attention. She crawled over, brushed aside a thick layer of dust, and found an old metal box. The lock was rusted, but loose. Click. She opened the lid. Inside were 3 old phones, identical to the one she was holding. Eliza pulled them out one by one, her heart pounding so hard it felt like her chest might burst. The first, wallpaper photo of a girl with swollen eyes, scraped hands. Text underneath, Lucy. The second, a girl with one side of her head shaved, eyes hollow. Name, Martha. The third, a tied-up girl lying on her side, eyes red from crying. Caption, Irene. Eliza held her head. Those faces, she had seen them on the missing posters around town. Lucy. Martha. Irene, were you, just like me? She began to cry. But this time, not a single sound escaped. In the darkness, Eliza clutched the 3 phones to her chest, as if they were the only things anchoring her to the world. The rain hadn't stopped. Each drop slammed against the broken window like ice. The wind howled through the wooden slats like the sighs of imprisoned souls. Eliza sat in the corner, the strange phones in her lap, her heart heavy like a stone on her chest. She trembled as she pressed the power button on each phone. All 3 turned on, even though the battery indicators were red. Eliza couldn't stop her fingers from opening the files. Phone 1, Lucy. Opened photo gallery. 13 pictures. The first, Lucy lying in a hospital bed, eyes swollen, hand bandaged. The second photo, Lucy standing in the middle of the forest, her hair messy, crying in the rain. The third photo, a video clip. Eliza tapped on it. The screen displayed shaky footage, like it was recorded by someone secretly. Lucy was sitting in a dark room, her hands tied, her mouth gagged with a cloth. In the background, slow footsteps echoed. A raspy male voice said, "She's not obedient. But those eyes, they're beautiful. The clients will like that." Eliza gasped and immediately clapped her hands over her mouth. She sat frozen, tears pouring from her eyes. The second phone, Martha. The girl in the picture had one side of her head shaved, her collar torn, and stared straight into the camera with an empty look in her eyes. There was one audio file in the voice memos folder. Eliza hesitated, then tapped play. "If anyone hears this, please don't let me disappear like Lucy." The voice cracked at the end, followed by a blood-curdling scream and the loud thud of something heavy hitting a wall. Eliza dry heaved. She scrambled to a corner of the room and bent over, vomiting in despair. There was nothing left in her stomach but rain and fear. The third phone, Irene. Eliza tapped open the video folder. Only one file. But this one was of Eliza. Last night. In her sleeping bag, in the corner of the forest. The angle was from the window outside the very house where Eliza had spent the night. No, he's still around here," Eliza stammered, tears streaming down her face. She clutched the phone, her hands trembling like she was being electrocuted. The darkness seemed to be closing in on her, as if the house itself was a giant trap. Suddenly, a sound came from outside. A snapping branch. Then heavy footsteps crunching dried leaves. "Who's there?" Eliza whispered, her heart racing. She leapt up, ran toward the window, and held her breath. Then. "Eliza. Open the door." Michael's voice. She rushed to the door. The boy was soaked from the rain, panting. "I couldn't stop worrying. I came back. Are you okay?" Eliza threw her arms around Michael and burst into tears. I saw things. I don't understand. I'm so scared." Michael was startled but didn't push her away. He spoke gently. Tell me, what did you see? They sat down by the flickering candlelight. Eliza handed him each phone one by one. He was silent, eyes wide. Jesus Christ. Someone did something to these girls. And I'm the next one. Michael grabbed her hand. No. I'm not going to let that happen. But I don't know who he is. He could be watching us right now. Michael looked around, then stood up to check the windows and the back door. This house has a hatch to a basement. I've been down there before. It's really dark. But I don't think he knows about it. Are you sure? No, but it's better than sitting here like bait. Michael grabbed the 3 phones and powered them all off. Eliza held on to the first phone, the one she had found under the leaves. Its screen was still on, still showing the wallpaper, her own face, in a strange place. Do you see what's behind me in this photo? Eliza asked. Michael squinted. It's 2 rows of trees, looks like. He looked up, toward the window. This place. Right behind this house. Eliza backed away, panicked. No way, you think, the photo was taken here? It can't be anywhere else. The trees match exactly. And you said you'd never been here before today. That's right. Michael hesitated, then whispered. Maybe he brought you here, while you were asleep. Do you sleep deeply? Eliza shivered. I often pass out from hunger. I wouldn't know. A click sound came from the roof. Both kids snapped their heads upward. No one. Michael whispered. Let's go. Downstairs. Eliza nodded, still gripping the phone tightly. They made their way to the back of the kitchen, moved aside a rotting wooden plank, and revealed stairs leading down to the basement. Pitch black. The smell of mildew and rust filled the air. Eliza coughed violently. Michael lit his lighter to guide the way. Downstairs were old metal shelves, a few empty iron barrels, and a small mattress, stained with old, dried blood. Oh my God, Michael whispered. Eliza stood frozen. She saw a purple teddy bear. Its left eye was missing, one arm torn. This was mine when I was little. You're sure? I'm sure. I swear. I used to hold it every night at St. Teresa home. One day it disappeared. The manager said a dog dragged it away. But now. Michael clenched his fists. His face had gone pale. He came into the home. He was closer than you ever knew. Eliza collapsed to the floor, gasping. What are we supposed to do? No one will believe us. These phones might not even be enough. Michael said quietly. I know someone who can help. Who? My cousin. Samuel. He's a town cop. I'll find a way to meet him. But you need to stay here. Don't go anywhere. No. I can't stay alone. Michael hesitated. I'll stay tonight. But tomorrow morning, I have to leave. I'll lock the door from the outside. You have the phone, and there's still battery. If anything happens, call me. Eliza held his hand tightly. Thank you, Michael. I don't think I'd survive without you. Michael gave a faint smile. We're not going to let him win. The damp basement was soaked in thick darkness. Eliza curled up on the old, tattered mattress, clutching the worn purple teddy bear. Michael sat a few feet away, leaning against the cold brick wall, eyes half shut but clearly unable to sleep. You asleep yet? Eliza whispered. No, you. I dreamt of Lucy, the girl from the phone. She was crying, her hands bloody, her mouth gagged. Michael opened his eyes and looked at her in the dim glow of the lighter sitting on the shelf. I can't stop thinking about them either. Lucy, Martha, Irene. Do you think they're still alive? Eliza was silent for a long time before replying softly. I don't know. But if they're dead, I want to know why. I want to know who did it. She sat up suddenly and grabbed Martha's phone, the second of the three she'd found earlier. The battery was down to 1 bar. Eliza quickly powered it on and opened the recordings folder she hadn't dared to touch before. Michael, are you ready to hear this? He nodded, swallowing hard. She pressed play. The first sound was ragged breathing. Then, a trembling girl's voice whispered. He said not to scream. He hates crying. But I can't take it anymore. I begged. I don't want to disappear like Lucy. The audio broke off, followed by a loud thump, something wooden hitting a wall, and a piercing scream. Suddenly, the file stopped. The screen turned black. Battery dead. Eliza was breathing heavily, her eyes red. Oh God, did you hear that? Michael's face had turned ghostly white. He killed them. No doubt about it. Eliza gripped his arm tightly. Who do you think he is? Michael hesitated. I don't know, but if he comes back, you can't stay here. We need to get this evidence to someone. I told you. My cousin Samuel. He's a cop. I'll find a way to reach him. Eliza nodded weakly, then looked at Irene's phone. She took a deep breath. I want to watch that video. The one of me sleeping. Are you sure? Yes. I want to see how close he got. Maybe I'll spot a clue. Michael nodded silently. Eliza played the video. The screen showed a shaky frame, filmed from outside the window of the abandoned house they were in. In the footage, Eliza was curled up in her sleeping bag, her back to the window. A man's voice whispered, as if to himself, or recording. She's still alive. Tiny, but those eyes are special. Sometimes she looks straight into the lens, like she knows someone's watching. A few more days, and she'll be ready. Michael jumped up. Shit. He's been here. He was here last night. Eliza shuddered, pressing herself against the wall. I slept right there. I had no idea he was outside the window. Michael clenched his fists. He's preparing. You heard him. He said, ready. That means he's done this before. Eliza suddenly remembered. When I sleep, I sometimes get chills, like someone's watching. I thought it was just my imagination. Michael stepped to the window, using the flashlight from his phone to scan the dark forest. I don't see anyone, but clearly he knows how to get here. What if he comes back? I won't let him touch you. But you have to hide. Michael opened his backpack and pulled out a small fruit knife. I brought this. Just in case. Eliza flinched at the glint of the blade in the candlelight. You think you could stab him? I don't want to, but if I have to, I will. Eliza said nothing more. She opened her own phone, the first one she had found beneath the leaves. In the notes folder, there was a new file, dated yesterday. Eliza had never noticed it. Michael, there's a new file on my phone. I didn't create it. Try opening it. Eliza tapped it. A raspy male voice, clearer this time, played. Eliza. You're listening, right? I know you came into the house. I know you saw the pictures. You're curious. I like that. Curious ones usually don't live long. But you're different. You're special. I've been watching you for a very long time. Michael snatched the phone and shut it off. He was breathing hard. He knows you're listening. He sent that file through the network. Or, he left it in the phone earlier, waiting for you to find it. Eliza was now trembling violently. I want to get out of here, tonight. Michael nodded. Okay. But the rain's too heavy. We can't go through the forest right now. We have to wait until morning. He pulled the wooden plank back over the basement entrance and wedged it tight from the inside with a wooden beam. I'll keep watch. You try to get some sleep. Eliza shook her head. I can't close my eyes. I'm scared I'll wake up, tied up, like Lucy. Michael sat down beside her and gently placed his hand on her shoulder. We'll get through this. I promise. They sat together in the darkness, the dim flame of the lighter flickering faintly. Outside, the rain hadn't let up. And somewhere in the forest, Eliza felt it that he was smiling. By the time dawn broke, the rain had eased, but the sky remained gloomy, like it was covered in a thin layer of ash. Eliza sat against the basement wall, hugging her knees to her chest, eyes sunken from a sleepless night. Michael had dozed off at some point, back leaned against a wooden crate, still clutching the small knife in his hand as a reflex. The faint sound of an engine rumbled from far away, then silence. A minute later, a car door slammed shut. And then, footsteps. Not rushed like someone walking through the woods. These steps had purpose. Michael. Eliza whispered, shaking him awake. Michael snapped to alertness, eyes wide, listening. The footsteps grew louder. The sound of boots squishing through mud. Someone was approaching the house. Who do you think it is? Michael tensed. Eliza's voice trembled. It might be him. The boy quickly scanned the room. There was no other way out of the basement besides the stairs they had just covered. The footsteps stopped right at the door. Then clack. The heavy wooden latch creaked open. A cold gust swept in. Who's in there? A man's voice rang out, rough, raspy, and so familiar Eliza froze completely. She clutched Michael's hand. It's him, he's the one who spoke to me, back at the old parking lot, gave me bread, forced me to work inside the van. Michael pulled the knife from his belt, gripping it tightly, eyes fixed. The voice came again, louder this time. I know you're in there, Eliza. Come out. You think you can run from me? Eliza cried silently. Michael stood up, whispering. I'm going up. I'll distract him. You stay hidden down here. No. You're not a hero. You're just a kid like me. I can't leave you alone. Listen, if something happens, wait until he leaves and then run. Don't try to save me. Michael carefully lifted the plank from the stairs. A faint light seeped into the basement. He climbed up, footsteps as light as a cat's. Eliza held her breath. Her heart pounded so fast she thought it might explode. She heard Michael's footsteps on the wooden floor above, then. I just came in to get out of the rain, Michael said. Oh, a little punk. Thought it was someone else. Who are you to the girl? I don't know her. Don't pretend. I can smell your fear. You think I'm stupid? Eliza heard heavy footsteps. Then the sound of a knife being unsheathed. Simon's voice turned low, dangerous. I'll ask again. Where's the girl? Michael tried to stay calm. I don't know. Whack. A loud smack. Eliza clamped her hand over her mouth as Michael screamed. I hate liars, you little shit. Do you know what I can do to you? Please. I don't. I really don't know. You don't need to know anymore. The sound of shoes dragging across the floor, and then the basement door was thrown open. Eliza leapt up, ready to run, but a large, strong hand grabbed her shoulder. I've been looking for you all night, little brat. Thought you could hide? Let me go. Help. Eliza screamed and struggled. Simon slammed her to the ground. Michael charged and stabbed him in the shoulder. Simon roared, spun around, and threw Michael against the wall. "I'll remember you, little punk. I like my kids better alive." Eliza cried, flailing, scratching his face. Simon raised his hand and slapped her hard. Her vision blurred. Then, a burlap sack was pulled over her head. "You're the last delivery tonight, sweetie. The client paid double." Simon's voice rasped. "You'll be washed, dressed up nice, then off to the car." Eliza struggled, her hands tied tightly behind her back. She screamed. "Michael! Michael, don't die." Simon hoisted her over his shoulder and dragged her out to the truck parked at the edge of the forest. The truck door opened, and he threw Eliza inside, locking it. She fell onto the freezing metal floor, face covered in blood and tears. Inside her coat pocket, the phone was still there. Eliza reached for it, whispering, "Please. SOS, please." The sky over the forest was a lifeless gray. The wind howled through the treetops like an icy scream. Eliza lay wrapped in the musty burlap sack in the back of the truck, hands tied behind her back with rough rope. Her wrists were raw and bleeding. Her mouth sealed with tape. It was pitch dark, but the smell of rust, engine oil, and human sweat made her want to vomit. She peeked through a small tear in the sack. Simon sat in the driver's seat, dialing a phone. His voice was low, negotiating. "It's ready. A new girl, 10 years old. Pretty face, pale skin, soft hair. Delivery tonight, same spot. I don't care if it's cash or Bitcoin. Just have the money and I'll hand her over myself." Eliza sobbed. She knew her voice wouldn't reach anyone. But she still had hope. The small phone in her coat, the only one that could auto-trigger an SOS call, was still there. She twisted her body, nudged the phone against her pocket seam. Then, vibration. Vibration. A soft beep followed. The emergency call had been sent. Eliza cried silently, whispering, "Please, someone hear it, please." Simon suddenly turned his head. He heard something. His eyes narrowed. What the hell? He stopped the truck, jumped out, and ran to the back. The doors burst open. "What are you doing in there, you little bitch?" He grabbed the sack by the neck and yanked Eliza out like an animal. She hit the wet ground, coughing blood. "You turned the phone on, didn't you?" He leaned in close, growling every word. "Perfect. I'll deal with you before anyone can show up." Eliza panted, her mouth still taped. Her eyes wide with fear. "Cry. Go ahead and cry." Simon snarled. "The clients love it when you're scared." She kicked at him. He cursed, pulled out a knife. "I'm sick of you." Then rip. He tore the sack open and ripped the tape from her mouth. Eliza didn't wait a second. She screamed. "Help. Somebody please help me." Simon punched her in the face. Her vision spun, blood dripped from her lips. But before he could tie her up again, she rolled to the side, sprang to her feet, and ran into the woods. "You think you can get away, you little stray," he shouted, flashlight beaming ahead. His whistle echoed an eerie sound like a cat toying with a mouse. Eliza stumbled through the forest, legs scraped and bleeding from thorns. "You're the final product. You're worth double the others," he screamed behind her. "I'm not a product. I'm a person." Eliza screamed back, sobbing and gasping. Simon laughed, bone-chilling. "You'll get cleaned up. Makeup on. Then off on a permanent vacation." Eliza tripped on a tree root and crashed face-first into the dirt, her vision flashing white. Simon was close, his flashlight shining on her face. "No more running, sweetheart." She grabbed a stick and hurled it at his face. Simon staggered, cursed. Eliza ran again. Her phone buzzed once more, another SOS call sent. Good, good, she panted. Please come, please. Simon was still on her heels. His laugh tore through the air. You like this game? You're fun. None of the others made me work this hard. Eliza reached a large tree, ducked behind it, and tried to catch her breath. But then the phone buzzed again. An outgoing emergency call. The ringtone rang. Simon stopped. Tilted his head. Grinned. Oh, you turned the phone on. Perfect. I'm finishing this now. Eliza froze. She bit her lip until it bled, forcing herself not to cry. Footsteps drew closer. Where are you, sweetheart? You're a good girl, remember? Don't make me angry. Eliza spotted a narrow path to the right, along a stream. Without thinking, she ran, slipped on rocks, and fell into the creek. Ah! Water splashed cold as ice. She struggled to stand. A sharp rock cut her leg, blood trailing through the current. Simon's light caught the blood. He laughed loud. I see you now. Don't waste your strength. Eliza climbed the muddy slope, limping, still running. Wind howled, leaves whipped her face. She didn't stop. She couldn't. Up ahead, maybe there was a light, or was it just a trick of her mind? Simon roared. You're not going anywhere. You're mine. She ran, muttering. No, no, no one owns me, no one. Her legs gave out. Her head spun. Then from far away a siren. A police siren. Eliza whispered through her tears. Please, get here in time. Simon froze. His face twisted. No, no way. Eliza used her last strength to crawl into a hollow tree trunk and hide. Her breath came in quick gasps, her hand clutched the soaked phone, its dim light flickering like a dying star. Simon looked around, pulled out his knife, and moved slowly, like a predator stalking its prey. Come out. Don't make me tear you to pieces. Eliza clenched her teeth. And then the flashing blue light in the distance became clearer. Police car lights. She whispered. Please be in time, please. Eliza curled up in the hollow of a rotting tree, breathing rapidly, heart pounding like a war drum. Her eyes stayed fixed on the flickering light in the distance. Was it a patrol car? Or just one final hallucination before the end? Simon's footsteps crunched on dry leaves, coming closer. His flashlight swept across the damp tree trunks. Come on out, Eliza, he called, his voice suddenly soft, terrifyingly soft. We're not going far. Just be good. It won't hurt. I promise. Eliza covered her mouth, trying not to sob. She thought of Michael. Was he still lying somewhere in that abandoned house, hurt? Dead? She didn't know. But she had to survive. Not just for herself but for him too. The footsteps stopped right at the edge of the tree hollow. Then, he sat down. Eliza held her breath. You think I don't know where you're hiding? Simon hissed. I've played this game with smarter ones than you. His hand reached in. Eliza sprang up, trying to run. But the wound on her leg made her stumble. Simon grabbed her collar and slammed her to the ground. You like hiding, Huh, he roared, eyes bloodshot. Let me go. Eliza screamed, thrashing. I'm not going with you. I'm not some product. Oh, but the client disagrees, Simon panted, pulling a rope from his belt. They already paid a deposit. You're not screwing this up for me. He tied her hands so tightly she burst into tears. It hurts so much. Shut up. Cry again and I'll shove cloth down your throat. Simon hoisted her over his shoulder like a sack of grain and headed back to the truck. Eliza screamed, kicked wildly. Help. Is anyone there? Please. Yell all you want. No one hears you in this forest, he sneered. Back at the truck, he tossed her into the cargo area, wrapped her in the old burlap sack, stuffed a rag into her mouth, and slammed the doors shut. Darkness swallowed her whole, the sound of the engine roaring like a funeral drum. She didn't know how long they drove. Every passing minute was another nightmare. Each bump, each jolt sent pain through her body. Outside, the wind howled. Inside, despair grew. Simon was driving and talking on the phone. Through a tear in the sack, Eliza heard every word. Yeah. 10-year-old girl. Pale skin, brown hair, big brown eyes just like the client wanted. No relatives. No one's looking. The orphanage reported her missing last year. Clean. No scars, no injections. Delivery tonight. I'm heading to the drop point now. Eliza fought to stay conscious. Every time her eyes started to close, images of Lucy, Martha, Irene came flooding back, 3 girls like ghosts in a phone's gallery. All gone. No, she couldn't be next. She whispered inside her head. Michael, if you're still alive, please save me. Suddenly, the truck stopped. Simon opened the back and dragged her out. A small forest clearing, the grass flattened, wooden crates stacked nearby. It looked like a delivery site. He propped Eliza up, pulled the gag from her mouth, and smirked. Look at you. Filthy. Wait here while I get some water. He walked to the back of the truck, rummaging through a plastic jug. Eliza glanced around. No one else. Just him. A small shack in the distance. Beside it, a rusty metal table and a phone with a tall antenna. Eliza screamed. Someone. Please help me. Simon turned, furious. I told you to shut your damn mouth. He rushed back and slapped her again. Her cheek burned. I'm not an animal, she shouted. I'm not your property. Simon leaned in, growling. No. You're cargo. And I'm the transporter. You don't get rights. Eliza looked into his eyes, voice choking. You're going to pay for this. Simon burst out laughing. You think someone's coming to save you? Out here in the woods. I've already handled the others. You're no different. He opened a bag and pulled out a bottle of water, wet wipes, lipstick, and a hairbrush. They like their merchandise clean, understand? Don't worry, I won't touch you. You're not my type. Eliza trembled. You're sick. No. I'm realistic. And you're the finest product I've ever had. Eliza stopped listening. She looked up at the gray sky and whispered. Please, if someone's listening, please. She shut her eyes. And then very faint, in the long silence, a siren in the distance. The siren echoed through the forest like a blade cutting through the darkness. Simon froze, in the middle of wiping her face. His expression darkened. No way, he muttered, looking toward the sound. They can't be here this fast. Eliza's eyes flew open. She couldn't believe it. She bit her lip until it bled to make sure this wasn't a dream. But the sound came again, closer, louder. You hear that? She whispered, shaking. It's the police. You're finished. Simon spun around, eyes flaring. What did you do? Tell me. I didn't have to do anything. The phone, it called by itself. Sent the location. Eliza smiled through her shaking. You thought you were smart, but you never saw it coming. You. He raised his hand but stopped mid-swing. Then cursed, pulled out his phone, and dialed. They traced the signal, he growled into the phone. I need to move the drop. Deal's off. I may have to terminate the package. Shut up, I know what I'm doing. He hung up, pacing like a wounded animal. Then he looked at Eliza with eyes like cold steel. If I can't deliver you, then no one else will have you. Eliza backed away, her foot hitting a wooden crate. Simon approached, pulling a folding knife from his back pocket. The blade shimmered under the moonlight. Goodbye, sweetheart. But at that exact moment, a sharp voice rang out. Police. Freeze. Drop the knife. Hands in the air. Simon turned, knife still in hand. A flashlight beamed straight into his face. Blue and red lights flashed all around as police cars swarmed the drop site. A tall officer stepped out of an armored vehicle, wearing a bulletproof vest and holding a loudspeaker. Simon Miller, you've been under surveillance for the past 2 months. Drop your weapon, get on your knees, and place your hands behind your head. Simon panted, eyes darting wildly. Then he grabbed Eliza, pressing the knife to her throat. Back off. All of you. I'll kill her if you come any closer. Eliza screamed. Stay back. His hands shaking. The lead officer signaled to retreat. A young female officer beside him whispered. Captain James, Eliza is the final victim in this case. We can't let him hurt her. Lieutenant James nodded, lowered the loudspeaker, and stepped forward. Simon, I know you. You've slipped through the cracks for 4 years, but not tonight. Shut up. You don't know anything. Simon shouted. We're just meeting the market's demand. You don't have to kill Eliza. There's no escape for you now. Surrender. Simon snarled, his hand trembling. Eliza took advantage of that moment. She bent forward suddenly and rammed her head into his stomach. The blade nicked her neck, drawing blood, but she rolled to the side. A bang. Echoed. Simon collapsed, a bullet hitting his shoulder. Officers rushed in to subdue him. Secure him. Cuff him. Now. James barked. The female officer ran to Eliza and knelt beside her. The girl's injured light cut on the neck and wrists. Call an ambulance. Eliza sobbed, laughing through tears. They really came. I'm alive. James crouched beside her, gently taking her hand. You're safe now, Eliza. We've been searching for you all night. Michael, my friend, he was beaten, and the 3 phones, they're at the abandoned house. We know, he reassured. Your SOS signal helped us trace the whole network. You were the missing piece. Eliza whispered. I'm not a product. I'm a person. You're someone very special, James nodded. And thanks to you, the monsters will face justice. A sound behind them made the team turn. Michael, with bandages on his head, was being helped forward by 2 officers. His face was bruised, but his eyes shone bright. Eliza, he shouted, pushing past the officers, running to her. Michael. Eliza burst into tears, hugging him tight. I thought you were dead. Michael choked out. I thought you were killed by him. I played dead. When he left, I crawled out and met the police just in time. I led them to the signal from your phone. James looked at the 2 children, then turned to the task force. Secure the scene. Tag every piece of evidence. And make damn sure that bastard never gets another chance. Eliza was placed on a stretcher. She held Michael's hand tightly. Don't leave me. I promise I won't. Before the ambulance departed, James leaned down and whispered into Eliza's ear. Thank you, little warrior. You've saved many lives. And you're no longer alone. The girl's eyes lit up through the tears. I've never felt seen, or heard, like this before. From now on, you'll live the life you deserve. The ambulance sped off, sirens wailing, not a sound of fear this time, but a symphony of hope. 3 days after the rescue, the abandoned house at the edge of the forest was sealed off with yellow tape. Forensic teams, detectives, and reporters crowded the area, recording, interviewing, and taking non-stop notes. Lieutenant James stood amid the evidence markers, his voice low and steady. "What have we found so far?" A female officer stepped forward with a report. "In the basement, we found a mattress stained with dried blood, 4 old teddy bears, and a bag of printed photographs. There's a list with names, ages, and descriptions all matching girls reported missing over the past 3 years." James nodded heavily. This was the holding site before the victims were delivered. A tech specialist ran over. "We also recovered data from 4 old phones. Each had an album for one girl, with recordings, videos. Eliza was the only one not yet transferred. Thanks to the SOS signal from her phone, we traced everything back." James turned to a national television reporter. "I'll say this once, Simon Miller was a key link in a cross-border human trafficking ring. But he wasn't alone. Thanks to the bravery of a 10-year-old girl named Eliza, we've now exposed the entire network." Inside the city hospital, room 203 was kept completely quiet. Eliza sat upright with her back against the pillows, wrists bandaged. On the bedside table were 4 sealed evidence bags, each containing one of the recovered phones. She was quietly sketching with a pencil, drawing Lucy, Martha, and Irene. The door creaked open. Michael peeked in, carrying a plastic box full of desserts. "Can I come in?" "Michael." Eliza smiled. "I thought you had to stay in the hospital 2 more days." "I snuck out." "But don't tell the cops," Michael joked, sitting by her bed. "I brought flan. You like it, right?" "Yeah. I do, but it's better when shared with someone kind." Eliza looked at him, her eyes shining. I wanted to ask you," Michael hesitated. "Do you think we'll see each other again? After you get adopted?" Eliza went quiet. She put down her pencil and took Michael's hand. "I hope you'll be the first person I invite to my new home." The door swung open. James entered, followed by a kind-looking middle-aged couple. The woman, with curly red hair, smiled at Eliza. "You must be Eliza. I'm Tessa. And this is Daniel. We're both artists from Toledo. And we'd like to bring you home." Eliza's eyes widened. "Do I really get to?" "No one can take that right away from you anymore," James answered. "Tessa and Daniel followed your story. They volunteered to take you in not out of pity, but because they feel you're the child they've been waiting to love." Eliza looked at Michael, tears welling in her eyes. She whispered, "I won't forget anything. Not this place, not what happened. Or who stayed by my side." Michael tried to smile, though his lips trembled. "I know." Tessa stepped closer and hugged Eliza. "You'll have your own room. In the color you like. With art supplies, canvases, pencils. I heard you're a very good artist." I only draw so I don't forget them." "Then you'll have a whole wall to remember. And space to dream of brighter things." The day Eliza left the hospital, a group of reporters waited at the gate. But she didn't care about the cameras. She only cared about the small drawing hanging from her neck, 4 girls: Lucy, Martha, Irene, and herself standing together under the sunlight. 2 weeks later, the trial of Simon Miller opened at the City Court of Denver. He was charged with 8 counts, including kidnapping of minors, assault, human trafficking, possession of illegal materials, and identity concealment. Eliza stood at the witness stand, wearing a white shirt, her hair tied neatly. Her voice was steady. "He followed me for 3 years. I don't know why. But I know I'm not a product. And I'm standing here today, so no one forgets that." The courtroom fell silent. Simon looked at her, his eyes blank. "You'll turn to dust again," he muttered. I wasn't the first. And I won't be the last. The judge slammed the gavel. Defendant Simon Miller, sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. Michael clapped first. Then the entire courtroom erupted in applause. At a small house in Toledo, that same morning, Eliza woke up in warm sunlight. On her desk sat 4 photo frames, each holding a picture of Lucy, Martha, Irene, and herself, a testimony to her survival. She picked up a pen and wrote in her notebook. Once, I was being watched. Now, I am protected. And I will protect other children. She smiled and stepped outside. Tessa was painting in the sun. Daniel was reading. Michael was sitting on the swing, waiting for her. Eliza ran toward them, bathed in golden light, like a promise that would never fade. Eliza's story reminds us that even in the darkest moments of despair, a ray of hope can save a life and change a destiny. The courage of a single child not only helped her survive, but also brought horrific crimes into the light and saved countless others. Listening, timely action, and kindness from strangers like Michael and Lieutenant James can work miracles. Every child deserves love, protection, and the right to live with dignity.
If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing heartwarming stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your support. See you soon.